Oh God, give me the reason I'm down on bended knees. Now, I'm a terrible singer. I know. But I had to use that song. LeBron begging for a call. He's been doing that pretty much the whole entire season. Hell, he's been laying flat on the floor, having his face covered with his hands. One video shows him have his face covered. Then he had to, he couldn't help himself. He had to look to see if anybody was noticing him, and he looked like a complete fool doing it. But those are the tactics you have to do when you're playing a young man's sport. You're going to have to, figure out a way to stay in the game, and you have to figure out ways to your advantage, and that's what LeBron has been doing, begging for calls, flopping, and things of that nature. But if you've been following the NBA, particularly if you've been following me, I told you guys this is most likely going to be the Los Angeles Lakers ending. They're going to be bounced. If they get the opportunity to play in the opening rounds of the playoff, they were going to get bounced because they're not really a good, complete team. Now, a lot of people, like the worldwide leader of sports experts over there at ESPN, when they got on that win streak, remember, midway through the season, and they acquired Luka, and everybody's talking about, oh, this is the team to beat, and they're going to make it to the Western Conference Finals, okay? I knew that this was going to come because when you have Luka, LeBron, those are your two best players that play not a lick of defense. Luka can't even guard a chair standing still. You also get rid of your best asset in a big man, which is Anthony Davis. Even though he didn't want to play the five, he stumbled it. For a little bit, he's their best five and their best four, possibly their best three on the Los Angeles Lakers. Okay, not to mention the fact that the Minnesota Timberwolves, they didn't even bring their A game to dismantle the Lakers. It was 4-1. The series. They pretty much swept them. They didn't even bring their A game. They didn't even hardly bring their B game. And the final game, they just brought their C game. And they just destroyed the Los Angeles Lakers on the board. They destroyed the Los Angeles Lakers when it comes to talent. And they were just a better team. The better team is going to always prevail over series and matchups. All right? It's been in sports history, it's always been that way. It has been some exceptions to the rule. But more than likely, if you are more talented, if you are from top to bottom more talented, completely better, superiorly better than your opponent, you're going to win 9 times out of 10. All right. Now, like I said, in the Super Bowl, things can happen. In college bowls, it's subject to happen. NCAA is subject to happen, but rarely in professional sports it happens. All right. So LeBron James, who is, a lot of people like to tag this when you speak to LeBron James, well, LeBron James, he's got to be good, right? Because he got the most points in NBA history, which, by the way, when Kareem had it, no one wasn't saying Kareem was the best player in NBA history because he had the scoring title. Like I said, no one cares about the scoring title. If you stay around long enough, you're going to get the scoring title. Doesn't make you a terrible player. Doesn't make you the best player. It's just, if you play around long enough, you're going to F around and get the scoring title, particularly if you're throwing up shots. All right? So, when you got LeBron James and Luka, remember they ran on that win streak when they acquired Luka. They was winning games, and people were praising them, bigging them up because they got Luka and LeBron. A lot of people are saying, oh, they're gonna just sweep by the playoffs. They're gonna win a championship with Luka and LeBron. Your two best players doesn't play a lick of defense. LeBron, because he's too old, he's trying to save himself so he'd be able to save himself as far as energy-wise, play through the games. He's 40. Luka, he's allergic to defense. Can't even guard a chair if it was standing right in front of him. Luka has been notoriously known as a person who's extraordinary on the offensive end. Brilliant. Brilliant on the offensive end. He's a liability on defense. And there's a reason why when he was in Dallas, they would have players around him that will pick up the slack of Luka on the defensive end. You're going to need a big man, and you're going to need some perimeter defense. All right? Not a lot of scoring, but some perimeter defense. And the GM over there at Dallas, who was catching all types of hell, a lot of you guys saying, oh, he's an idiot. Why would you trade away Luka? Which, by the way, the person that they trade Luka for could have helped the Los Angeles Lakers somewhat in this series, in this matchup. There was oversized. They played a small lineup. They didn't have a choice. Anthony Davis, if Anthony Davis was on the Los Angeles Lakers, Anthony Davis is clearly their best five. Even if Anthony Davis doesn't even like playing the five, he's still their best five. He's their best option at 4 if he was still with the Los Angeles Lakers. And you can make a case, if you had enough big men, you can slide him down to the 3 spot, even though that's LeBron's lane. I think he's a better 3 than LeBron. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, that's bull hockey. You're not a LeBron fan and things. Just hear me out. Obviously, Anthony Davis cannot pick up the scoring as well as LeBron James. But the little things that LeBron James isn't doing, Anthony Davis can, which is defense, a presence down low. He can occasionally score. He is a difference when you put him up against the rim. It allows people such as Ant-Man and Rudy Gobert to just run roughshod on your defensive posts. So those elements, even though they're small in nature, they're big in standard if you was on a team with Anthony Davis, which LeBron is not going to give you. All right. So they're out. The Los Angeles Lakers, and shout out to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They didn't even bring their A game to dismantle the Los Angeles Lakers. It wasn't even a fair matchup. They rarely brought their B game. They had moments where they had their A game. They mostly brought their B game. And the last game, they brought their C game. This was a foregone conclusion. You got a coach who's inexperienced as J.J. Redick. You can see inexperience, pays off in the worst way. He was making decisions, and I wouldn't say it's because of his lack of coaching. It's just he wants to be LeBron's friend. That's my friend. That's my friend. To give him enough opportunities to score. When you're thinking more about satisfying LeBron, ego massaging Luka, it's a detriment to your team. You got to think about your whole team, not just the 2 superstars. Okay. Their selection of roster, anytime you put Bronny James on your playoff roster, that's weird in itself. You mean to tell me there's nobody in the Los Angeles Lakers that's better than Bronny James? And Bronny James didn't even contribute. He would just, if you wanted Bronny James to watch the playoffs, he could just gotten a ticket, a front row ticket, and just watch the guys or just hung around. You easily, there's somebody that you could have utilized that could have contributed, no matter how small of their contribute is, there will be a lot better option than Bronny James. Okay, I'm not saying Bronny James doesn't deserve to be in the NBA. What I am saying is, as of right now, he's unpolished. He's just unpolished. Okay, so you got all that going on. So let's talk about the future of the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron made it. He's making it a mystery once again. The Aaron Rodgers. We'll just wait and see. And once again, if he makes a decision now, it'll be very beneficial for the front office of the Los Angeles Lakers. At least you got LeBron James. 9 times out of 10, I believe he's going to stay a member of the Los Angeles Lakers. Okay, I'm about 75% sure he's going to be a member of the Los Angeles Lakers. You know, I'm pretty sure it's higher at the front office, but it kind of straps you when you're trying to make decisions to, you know, fill up your roster. Because obviously, you're going to have some perimeter defense. You need to be looking for a big man in a major way. Those are your two things. I think those guys, like, I think like the scorers. I forgot his name. AR. I think you know, I think they need to you know, I think those guys and Dalton, the kid from Tennessee, I think they're good. They're good at scoring, but you know, this league figures you out real fast. They figure out your sweet spots. They figure out what you like. They figure out what you don't like. I don't think they're going to be able to reproduce that next season. Put it that way. I think defenses are going to really pay attention to those two, Dalton Connect and Austin Reeves. They're going to figure those two guys out, and what you got from them this year, you're not going to get a lot of them. You're not going to get a lot of that next year. So I think you better look for some other alternatives as far as scoring goes. That's going to be affordable on your cap. Plus, you can flip those guys for better pieces on the perimeter defense, because you're going to need veterans or players that can play defense, because you got two scorers. Now, if you believe the press clippings, you got two of the best scorers in NBA history. You got LeBron James, which next year will be 23 years in the NBA. Shout out to LeBron James. I don't know what that means. You know, I'm pretty sure that means a lot for you guys. He's going to always give you 23. And you got Luka, who's brilliant on the offensive end. So why do you need any more scoring if you got those two guys? I think you can get real cheap and find guys who can score as well. Maybe not to the level of those two players, but they can score, particularly with perimeter offense, because I think a lot of people are going to start doubling Luka. They're also going to double LeBron in certain spots. So that's going to leave the opportunity and the door open for a player that that's going to be open. Okay, so and plus you can get real cheap on the offensive end. This is an offensive league. Shouldn't be that hard to find someone who can contribute on the offensive end. I really think they need to start focusing on the defensive side of things. All right, as far as a big man, and I've heard this, Dwight Howard. Everyone's thinking, "Wow, man, if the Lakers would have gotten Dwight Howard, things would have been different." I don't think that things would be different. I think Dwight Howard is a presence down low. Yes, I've heard that he's got some outside shooting that can contribute to the Lakers to a small level, but they really need him for the defensive side of things. I don't think that's a lot of help. That's some help, but if you can get cheaper, and Dwight Howard, you can probably get him real cheap. But I think with defense goes, you need someone that's primarily defense. Because defense is not a big commodity in the NBA. Therefore, you can get perimeter defense, a center that's notoriously known for defense. You can get them for the cheap. All right. So that's what Rob Pelinka should be thinking about. They need to, he needs to beef up this roster. It's too much scoring, and more so on the perimeter end, particularly to help out Luka and help out LeBron. All right. Otherwise, they're gonna meet their same demise again next year. They possibly not. And I'll be the first one to say it. They possibly would not even make it to the playoffs. All right. Now you got a whole entire season with Luka, and you got a whole entire season with LeBron, which meaning next year LeBron's not gonna play that many games. He's going to get injured, or he wants time off because he's going to have to rest those dogs, okay? And then you got Luka, who's notoriously known of missing games. He missed more games than Anthony Davis. A lot of people don't never put it on the radar. Plus, Luka, I think Luka, nutrition-wise, will be a little better than what he is. But, guys, you got to think, he's going into the offseason. Nobody in the front office of the Los Angeles Lakers are going to raise a finger at him of getting his nutrition better. He's going to eat unhealthy. He's going to drink more beer. He's going to smoke more cigars in the offseason. He's going to have a longer offseason than any of the players that are playing right now. He's not going to get better on the nutrition side of things. He's going to take shortcuts. And remember, a lot of people were jumping on the GM of the Dallas Mavericks, saying that was dumb of him of doing it. But you got to be realistic here. You was about to max this guy for 300 M's. 300 M's, you're going to max this guy. And what can you say to a guy like that when you maxed him out, and then you say, oh, by the way, work on your nutrition, lose some weight, get in basketball shape. You're pretty much empowering him that whatever he's been doing, he's going to continue to do it. No one in the front office could challenge him if you would have maxed him out to 300 M's. Other teams if you were thinking about trading him, other teams would say, yeah, he's great now, but we're not going to give up all our draft picks and half our team just to have Luka. Luka is what Luka is. He's a great, brilliant scorer, but that's it. That's pretty much it. Luka can't, guard a chair, the small things. It doesn't measure a lot for championship basketball. And Kendrick Perkins said something that I agree with him. He said, look, Luka ain't going nowhere. The Los Angeles Lakers got a great star. He's going to be able to give you the ratings. He's going to put butts in seats. He's going to be very entertaining for the Los Angeles Lakers. He said all those things except win titles. You're not going to win titles with just Luka. You're going to have to build around Luka. But Luka's biggest strength is his offensive game. His biggest weakness is his defense. He plays zero defense. He doesn't even try on the defensive end. I think Luka could possibly play 30 years if he wanted to. If the rules stay the same, Luka can play like 30 years of professional basketball because, he's going to have that name, and the Los Angeles Lakers are going to baby him. They're going to allow him to do whatever he wants. Any coach in their right mind, not now, but I feel like 3 years from now, any coach in their right mind is not going to be a head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers because you got Luka and you got, you could build around him, but sooner rather than later, it's going to catch up to him. Okay? He's going to have to play some type of defense. It's only so much you can do. All right? So, yeah, I think I stayed too long on that topic, but I think the Los Angeles Lakers, their fate is going to be the same fate like next year. They're going to get bounced out of the playoffs in the first round. I suspect that they're not even going to make the playoffs. Okay? This is going to be LeBron James' swan song. This is going to be the last dance for LeBron James. And the Lakers are going to be happy with that. Genie is going to be loving it. The last final games of LeBron James. That's going to be on their promo. And Luka, hey, look, when LeBron retires, we got Luka. And Luka we trust. Which will keep Jeannie's job, because her family, I'm pretty sure her family's not happy. They're either not happy of what they're getting out of this, or they're looking at it from a perspective of a business. Man, it's making the Los Angeles Lakers organization more popular. We're making more profits. We're getting more and more butts in the seats. It's giving us exposure. Those things matter to us the most than winning a title. I think as far as, LeBron James running roughshod in the Los Angeles Lakers, those days are done. I think the front office, They're going to start putting players that benefit Luka more so than LeBron. LeBron's just going to be there. LeBron's just going to keep, adding more points to the most points in the NBA. I mean, if he's cool with that, if he likes it, I love it. If he wants to be, but you got to realize when he does retire, Kevin Durant, this really depends on if Kevin Durant really wants to play basketball. I think deep down, Kevin Durant will continue to play basketball, but Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, you got you got Luka, you got a lot of players that are great scorers that if they just hang around a longer, they'll be the next one as far as scoring the most points in NBA history. It's really a record that no one really cherish or say, oh man, that's what I want. I want that. I think ultimately these guys are wired differently. I don't know about Kevin Durant, but I think they're wired differently. I think Luka will be happy of getting that record from LeBron. I think LeBron fans, their stands, the Lakers organization, they'll be really happy if Luka gets it. They'll keep it like in the family because Kareem had it. Now LeBron currently has it, and now Luka's going to have it. If Luka continues the trajectory that he's on, he's going to get that record. Okay, so that record's not even going to last for like 5 years. But hey, that's what LeBron James stands are happy about. Hey, I wish y'all the best of that. But continue as far as the team concept goes, I don't see this team getting any better unless they do a complete overhaul, which they're not going to do. They're not going to say no to LeBron. And when you look at Luka, it's too late to give up on him. And if you give up on him, you're going to get less than what you gave up for Luka. So you got stuck with Luka. JJ, another year. I don't. I like JJ Redick has a basketball mind, but is it a brilliant basketball mind? And I just don't think being incredibly smart is going to get them out of this situation in the first place. All right. They need better players. They need to start building around Luka. They just need better players. And when you got two liabilities on the defensive end, which is LeBron and Luka, I know people are going to say, well, he had blocked shots. He had stopped people occasionally, but not consistently. To me, better defense is consistency. Teams that play better defense, they may not be talented on the defensive end, but they consistently, religiously play defense. Defense is the first thing they think about. All right. LeBron can play defense, but at 40 years old, he can't consistently play defense because he's going to give up so much energy on that side of the court. And he's kind of saving his energy on the offensive side of the court. Look, if LeBron wants to win a title, this is all on LeBron. LeBron's going to have to realistically say, okay, if I play a little bit more defense, obviously my scoring is probably going to go down a little or a lot. But will it help the team? Yeah. LeBron, you can score 30 points and 5-6 assists and 5-6 rebounds. That stat line is great for LeBron, but it doesn't really apply or mean anything on the team concept because you're still getting blown out by 10, 20, or 40 points. All right? LeBron, if he scores 8 points, like 11 rebounds, he can get 11 to 12 rebounds easily. He can easily get at least 15 assists and be a presence on defense where the other team's not constantly, running a free lane to the hoop. at least he's there. If he could just do that, I think that would help them in the win-loss standings. I think they'll win more games if LeBron, focus his time and energy on the defensive side of things. A lot of people forget LeBron on the defensive end is extraordinary. If you don't believe me, look at those Miami Heat days where teams were actually fearing to go down. There was no runway to score points when he was in his prime. And like I said, he was in his prime. He was a lot younger, but he was a lot better defender in Miami, and somewhat in his second stint with Cleveland. His defense is non-existent as a Laker. So yeah, those are things that they can work on. But hey, it is what it is. Guys, tell me what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Deuces.